Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Kilrodan. And today, as you can see, I'm doing another list here, folks. And yeah, it's gonna be a bit longer than usual when it comes to these lists. So it's either top 5 lists or top 10s. But this time around, I'm gonna do a bit different one, I guess you can say. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit more long than some of the others, but here we go. It's gonna be a top 15 this time around. So for this list, it's going to cover regardless of genre, regardless of who directed it, regardless of when it was released, regardless of what company had released it, and regardless how much money it had made, or if it, or even if he won any awards or not. But for this list, I'm thinking maybe just talking about films that were almost universally hated, but at the end of the day, they weren't that bad. There are films that I like, so that's what I'm thinking about right there in the lines of that. They can be live action or animated or both. So it's just trying to have some sort of variety. So that's what I'm thinking about, folks, of doing with this video. Doing a top 15 of nearly universally hated movies that I liked. Well, of course, they actually have to be good in this case, but for whatever reason, they just weren't a hit with a lot of people, with critics and audiences. And that's the thing, they have to be disliked by both. I guess you can say by the vast majority of people. Good chunk, not everyone, but at least a good chunk enough in a way. And also, yeah, that'd be good. As in, good writing, good music, good structure of the story, stuff like this. But, alright, with that being said, let's just dive right into it, shall we? So here we go. And also, I'm most likely going to split this into two parts because this is going to be a fairly lengthy video. So I just figured, well, I'll do one part now and the other part later. So let's jump right in. Oh boy, I already know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but The Last Jedi makes it number 15 because a lot of people had criticized this film for being too woke, for having a female lead, even though despite the fact that Star Wars films always had politics in them, ever since the original trilogy. So I just find it odd that a lot of these fans and other critics seem to ignore that. And saying that, like was said a moment ago, the female lead part. Remember Princess Leia? Like she didn't have any important parts in the original trilogy. Oh boy, this is odd. Acting as if she was some sort of indestructible Mary Sue. That's a lie. She's not perfect. She made mistakes. And especially in this movie and the other films in the trilogy. An often overlooked film, even among the fan base, at number 14 is Godzilla vs. Biollante, a personal favorite of mine, extremely underrated. So, what's so different about this film? Well, literally everything. It's just unfortunate that people seem to think these movies are just for kids, it's goofy, it's just silly. Well, that's just extremely biased. And yeah, a lot of people seem to think that this is way too scary, it's way too spooky for its own good. Again, you can't blame the movie for trying to do something different. It's like science goes wrong, and of course, people being dickheads. Yeah, people being assholes seem to be a common theme in these movies, of course, and actually having a plot and something to do with the Middle East, the cells, and a giant plant thing, which is definitely creative and secret agents. It definitely goes into the whole government stuff here, folks, which I know doesn't really gel with a lot of people, like at all, but it's definitely there. And yeah, it's pretty spooky in some ways. Just put on like a horror movie when you think about it. At number 13, actually has something in common with the previous slot as I just mentioned, because people keep complaining about the plot lines being used multiple times over and over and over again. And then when someone actually does do something different, it gets ignored. And if someone does talk about it, it's usually just bashing on it. And some people had actually thought Merida was a psychopath for rebelling against her mother. Like she's a nutcase? Like, okay. Among many other problems that this film supposedly had, like there was no magic apparently. And of course a good chunk of criticism, even though there's a lot more actually, is that the daughter Merida keeps rebelling against the mother. Well, she has her reason. I mean, she went about it all wrong, sure, but she has her reasons to fight against her mother. So I just find this odd. When the Disney Princess movie actually does change up the formula in some ways, people complain, and they complain, and they complain some more. She's Scottish, and that's fine. I thought that was pretty cool right there. Making a number 12 is the original Blood the Last Vampire, mainly because of the fact it received quite a bit of criticism because this film was supposedly supporting the idea of colonizing the majority of people, like people from Africa, showing them disrespect and being rude to him, which doesn't make any sense because the racism towards African Americans does not exist in the movie, though is being projected there. But it says more about them than it does the actual movie, and also the fact that it's a woman as the main character, which a lot of people aren't really comfortable with. And also the fact that the main character is a half-breed vampire. According to a lot of Christians, vampires are all evil. And speaking of which, a lot of Christians aren't exactly comfortable towards the fact that the main character does not like Christianity, like at all. So yeah, just quite a bit of stuff going on here, folks. Even though the film is nowhere near that bad, really, when I think about it, and the fact alone that it's a horror movie is in itself controversial because it's somehow promoting murder. Like what are you talking about here? Making it number 11 is The Dark Knight Rises. Yes, I do understand that this is definitely well, how to put this? Oh, yes. The Dark Knight, the one with Heath Ledger, is a tough act to follow, and I get that. But that doesn't mean that this film, The Dark Knight Rises, is a lesser quality. And of course, a lot of people complain about the fact that you don't see Batman a whole lot. I mean, if that's your complaint, I think you missed the point of the movie, really, because it was more of a Bruce Wayne film than Batman. Kind of like how Batman Begins was more of a Bruce Wayne film in a lot of ways than Batman. And that's fine. That doesn't have to be a bad thing, really. So some people say that this film was hyped too much, which I have to disagree because it wasn't. But yeah, it did live up to the a lot of potential that it did, and very conclusive to this epic trilogy. And yes, I actually liked it, and I did believe that Bane was a good villain. At number 10, well, here we go. Godzilla makes on the list again. So this one was viewed as it was anti-American just because of the fact that it was speaking against the war. And okay, yeah, again we're going with the whole politics then. Yeah, I mean, yes, the Japanese version of this film was pretty much remained unavailable for the American audiences for an extremely long time. It took more than 50 years to finally be available. So a lot of people just grew up with the bastard version of this film. And a lot of people, of course, complain about the fact it was has politics in it, even though it was already political from the very beginning. And just because it was criticizing the war, having this, anti-war message, it doesn't mean it hates America. People just take it personally here. At number 9 is, yep, another superhero film, folks. This time around from Marvel. Yeah, a lot of people really, again, dislike the fact that it's supposedly woke, even though these movies already had politics even before this film. And yes, there was already a lot of controversy concerning the fact that there was a female Thor. Again, despite the fact that that was already in the comics. And yes, the whole gay thing was somehow an issue, even though again, the gay stuff was also in the comics, and some went as far to say it's the gayest film that they ever seen. Are you serious? This? This right here is the gayest movie you've seen? That's ridiculous. Nothing wrong with being gay, of course, it's fine, but still. Alright, before I end the video, I'm gonna bring a few honorable mentions, folks. Alright, I'm bringing up Alice in Wonderland, the original version. Yeah, a lot of people say that this movie was supporting hardcore drugs and also pedophilia because apparently the original author was that a pedophile and Disney was supporting this kind of stuff. Yes, again with the accusations. And but the film itself is it's fine. It's actually one of my favorites, really. Definitely one of my top favorites, that's for sure. And okay, this one, yeah, got some unnecessary hate as well because it was not exactly like how the original trilogy was. At least the first two movies. If anything, I'm glad it wasn't. Come on, that's the past. Let it go. And if anything, like a lot of nostalgia got in the way. I guess you can say. I thought the film was fine. It was action packed. It was cool. I enjoyed it. Just a lot of fans of the original trilogy. Again, at least the first two films didn't like it. Same thing with this one. I was the film was disjointed or something. But I thought that's fine. I never understood the hate towards this one as either. I mean, yeah, it's not like the original trilogy. Sure, it didn't bother me really. If anything, again, it's the nostalgia. I guess that got in the way, and I was fine with it. I was fine with the fact that it was not like 100% like the same. Sure. I guess another one I'll bring up real quick is the butterfly effect. Regardless if you see the theatrical version or the director's cut, I guess this was probably way too depressing for a lot of people, especially the director's cut. Yeah, that director's cut was definitely extremely depressing. I mean, so was the theatrical release version, but both are fairly depressing in a lot of ways. So I guess that rubbed off the people the wrong way. I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I guess so. There. Another one again is another animated movie. I guess too short in this case. Is this one here, folks? I guess the fact it's a hentai, both are hentais, and a lot of people, will not like that really because of that, and the fact that the main character is in fact a hermaphrodite, intersex, if you will. So yeah, our main character is that. I think there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but we all know a lot of people are prejudiced. So this is definitely an animated thing. Shorts, I guess you can call it. Two animated shorts that got swept under the rug. All right, folks. I guess that'll be it. I'll do part two later, of course, folks. Because, like I said, this would have been fairly lengthy. It's already over 10 minutes. So, alright, I appreciate the view, of course. But just stay tuned for the other part. I will have part two of this uploaded as soon as I can. So, as always, thanks for watching and take care. See you.